Yo, what up? Welcome to another episode of the Oakland Warriors podcast. I'm Patrick, and the Warriors finally beat the Memphis Grizzlies 113-104 at home, shorthanded, and it was a very, very satisfying win. The Memphis Grizzlies had taken the last two games that they'd played against the Warriors, the final play-in game that the Warriors lost at Chase Center, and then again at Chase Center, they lost an overtime game early this season. I really wanted this win, to be honest, not because I thought it was like a huge deal, but, you know, the Grizzlies, they're good. They are an up-and-coming team, but they're just not there yet. You know what I mean? And the idea that the Grizzlies have the Warriors number, even if the Warriors lost this game, I would have given that no credence at all, especially when the Warriors were playing without Andre Iguodala, who was sitting out, and Andrew Wiggins and Jordan Poole, who were both out for COVID protocols. And then you're missing Damian Lee. Oh, and by the way, you're missing Klay Thompson and James Wiseman. So either way, win or lose this game, it would have burned because you always want to win. But, you know, in the morning, I would have been like, on to the next one, right? Because those guys that I just named. So basically you're missing their veteran floor leader off the bench, their adult in the room, and Andre Iguodala. You're missing their second and third best scorers after Steph. You're missing Klay Thompson, a Hall of Famer, 3-time champion, and like 5-time All-Star or something. And then you're missing James Wiseman, who is your 7 foot. He's raw, but he is a huge presence and a huge vertical threat, regardless of what he's like on defense. It was never going to be like the biggest deal, but you just wanted this one because, you know, the Grizzlies, those last two losses, those kind of burned, right? The play-in game, that was a game the Warriors should have taken, but they just didn't have enough gas, and the Grizzlies hit enough shots in that one. And then earlier this season, you know, the Warriors didn't really know who they were, and they just had an off night shooting the ball, and the Grizzlies were able to take that. So this game, I love it. Like Steph, you know, I'd said he hadn't been playing that well recently. You know, the weight of that 3-point record was really, really kind of messing with his mojo. And this game, 13 for 22, 12 for 12 from the line, 8 for 14 from 3, 46 points. Now that's nice. That's Steph saying, like, this is my house. When we're down a bunch of guys, I'm going to stick a fork in it. That's an MVP level performance. And we hadn't seen a bunch of those in, you know, the last couple of games. So it's good to see him back to where we know he belongs. So again, I still think Steph is the front runner for MVP, but we'll see how the season evolves. Gary Payton II, 9 for 16, 22 points. Dude was 4 of 7 from 3. And we all know that the knock on him was that he was not a good shooter. So props to him for becoming more consistent. He knows his spots, the corners and the wing. If he doesn't hit those shots tonight, the Warriors probably lose. You know, if he doesn't give you all those points and you have to find them somewhere else, because this is a lineup where you don't have another big scorer right now. Otto Porter Jr. is only good for, you know, a handful of shots. Bielitsa, same thing. The rookie's still inconsistent. So to find those points, I mean, that's like an early Christmas present. Whether I can get those points again against Phoenix in Phoenix on Christmas Day, that remains to be seen. But I'm just stunned, man. Gary Payton II, it's like, dang, that dude had an opportunity and he kept working at it. I mean, no one wanted him. No one wanted him last season. No one wanted him for the last several seasons. No one wanted him to the extent that the Warriors cut him in the preseason, expecting him to still be available to re-sign on a lesser non-guaranteed contract. This is found money, right? When people were talking about the Warriors in the offseason, no one expected Gary Payton II to be able to do any of this stuff. Nobody really expected him to be on the roster, let alone a key cog in the rotation. No one expected Poole to be what he is. No one expected Wiggins to be what he is. It's all looking positive. And again, like the Warriors' depth, they'll run into teams that have guys sitting out. They'll run into teams that don't. I don't really think the Suns still have any guys out due to COVID protocols. So you just got to take it as it comes. But it's good to get this one ahead of that big game. I'll take this one. You know, I was a little concerned because the Warriors were missing so many guys. And this is what I've been talking about, like with everybody falling by the wayside into COVID protocols. You got to pick up these wins somehow, some way. And Steph willed this one with some help from GP2. And this is a good win for some of these guys because this team looked like last year's team, right? Where there's no one else who can really, really score consistently. This is one of those close wins that some of these younger guys, these newer guys who haven't been in these situations in games that mattered as much. Yes, it's a regular season game, but you're scrapping to stay on top of the Western Conference. These games matter. Hopefully all the guys who played tonight are available for the Christmas game. According to Steve Kerr, Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins will still not be available for that one. So that's going to be a tough one, but we'll see how it goes. I'm sure that the Warriors, Draymond, Steph, Kevon Looney, their pride, they will come out fighting, and that's what the rest of the guys need to see. They need to see how you approach every game, regardless of who's out there on the court. And that's something that they learned tonight with all that strength in numbers, next man up stuff, I mean, considering how many guys are out, it's still impressive that they can run out a lineup that is relatively decent. It's not bad. I mean, it's not, if this was the Warriors regular lineup, it's pretty iffy, but missing 5-6 of your rotation guys basically, and then still rolling out this lineup. I mean, that's impressive, and that depth is hopefully what will carry the Warriors through these times where a lot of guys are missing games. Now, it seems like the NBA is going to change the quarantine period for people in protocols from 10 days to 6 days. So that might mitigate all these guys falling by the wayside. They won't miss as many games. They won't all miss them at the same time. So we'll see what happens. Regardless, it's good to get this win. They're going to need wins like this over the next month, 2 months, whatever. Again, I think that people will be missing games randomly for a while. Hockey fans, Draftking Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, has a no-brainer offer that'll make you a winner once any shot gets past the goalie. New customers can bet just $1 on any NHL game and win $100 in free bets if either team scores. The NHL got rid of ties in 2005, so someone is going to light the lamp. If Sportsbook isn't available in your state yet, no worries. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes all season long with DraftKings daily fantasy hockey contests. DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now, use promo code TBPN, throw down $1 on any NHL game, and win $100 in free bets if either team scores a goal. That's promo code TBPN this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Must be 21 or older, New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit and $1 wager required. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. And by the way, I was keeping my eye on Jaren Jackson because, as some of you probably know, he was out for a long time with a meniscus injury. And Jaren Jackson is another kind of huge athletic guy, and it's good to see him back. They held him out longer than they had expected. A lot of people were expecting him to come back earlier last season, but he did not. And that's just something to note because of our own freakishly athletic big man, James Wiseman. Jaren Jackson's story is one reason why I'm confident that Wiseman will be fine when he finally comes back, that he'll have the athleticism, the speed, the bounce, all that stuff. And it was announced that James Wiseman is going to be able to take part in contact drills. So that's a good next step after just running through non-contact drills in his rehab this whole time. Again, it's crazy because the perspective on this game and this team, it's like, wow, I don't think we fully understand once these guys are all healthy, how nasty this team is going to be. As long as Wiseman can give you something, then they have very few gaping holes on this team, right? They have 3-point shooting, they have defense. They're starting to have guys who can get to the cup a little bit more. So, with this team, because there's so many new guys and so many young guys, it's a fascinating process, right? The dynasty teams, we knew what we were getting more or less because the top end guys were so good. But with this team, they're going to be so much better in April, May, June than they are now. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to that. Anyway, I hope you all have a good holiday regardless of what holiday you celebrate. I will check you out after the Christmas game against the Suns. I'll be talking to Aram in Toronto, and hopefully we have a win to talk about. That's another episode of the Oakland Warriors podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Feel free to hit me up on Twitter at Patrick Epino, E-P-I-N-O, or at Oakland Warriors. Check us out at oaklandwarriors.com, and be sure to tell your fellow Warrior friends to tune in and listen. The Oakland Warriors podcast is produced by National Film Society and is a part of the Basketball Podcast Network. And if you're so inclined, please leave us a 5-star review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and say nice stuff about us in a review. All right, that's it. Music in this episode provided by Paper. Special thanks to Paul Amardo for production support. See you next time, and go Dubs.